What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Guna TV. Had about a month off, so I apologise for that for various different reasons. But I'm absolutely pleased to announce that I have an ex-client, a friend of mine, Mark, who is a Sheffield United, big Sheffield United fan on the channel today. How you doing, Mark? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. I just wish you had me on here a year ago.
Yeah, when you was high flying before coronavirus, right?
Absolutely, when we were about 9th in the league and all was going well. But now we're back to usual now, so probably fair.
Yeah, do you know what, right? That's a good question to start with, right? What happened to Sheffield United? Because they were a revelation when they came up last season. I mean, there was like, I think he was about fourth or fifth for quite a while. You was like, you didn't lose to anybody. I think you beat United at home and stuff like that. And
yeah. Well, we took 4 points off your boys, I think, last season, which was pretty good going. My son, as you know, is a Gooner, so
yeah.
I enjoyed that. I would have liked to have said I'd handled it better and be more dignified, but I wasn't. I enjoyed it while I could because I knew that it wouldn't last. And look, people talk about second season syndrome, don't they? And probably that's part of it. But I think where you started, I think the whole coronavirus, the lockdown absolutely killed us. Everybody talks about their fans as being the 12th player on the pitch. But I think for Sheff United, having the crowd there is absolutely critical. So that's one thing. I think another thing is, if you look at the foundations of our success last year, it was based on pretty much a stable 11, but certainly a stable back three in terms of Egan, Basham and O'Connell. And, this season we've suffered with injuries across the team, but particularly impacting that back three. And I think another factor you've got to look at is the signings. You sign players to make the team stronger, but let's be honest, Brewster up front has been the biggest flop. He's barely featured, he's barely played. And for a club like ours, spending over 20 million on him, that's really not good. And then when you look at the goalkeeper, he's done well in recent weeks, in fairness. I'll hold my hand up and say I think he's done really well. But if you'd have asked me for the majority of this season, comparing him to Dean Henderson, who played in goal for us last season, kind of no comparison in terms of the confidence that he breeds in the defence. So, and then on top of that, of course, there's those horrific pink shirts that we wear when we play away, which I think you can't say they're not part of the problem. But look,
to play them, are they?
Yeah, they're certainly not Sheff United shirts. They're not Sheff United shirts I would recognise. I mean, you can call them salmon, you can call them pink, you can call them what you want, but nobody can go out and play football in them. But look, yeah, they're my thoughts anyway. 3 or 4 reasons that have really undermined performances this year. But it's just not been good enough. It's been poor. It really has.
Yeah, no, fair enough. What I asked you about, probably a lot of the Arsenal fans will definitely be thinking of is, obviously you do have some good players in the team. We've been heavily linked with what a guy we've got on here, Sander Berg. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, Sander Berg. Yeah.
Heard good things about him. I remember. Would you beat us last season? We're talking about, is it Fleck? And you might touch him before, like Basham. Give us a lowdown on some of the Sheffield United players, some of the good players that might go on to good things, you think?
Well, let's start with where you began with Sander Berg. I mean, he's one of our biggest signings, 20 million plus signing, Norwegian international. I think he played in the Belgium league. He's a technically very gifted footballer. He's got a really good first touch. He keeps the ball well, rarely gives it away. I think in his early days with us, if you look back at last season, he was culpable a number of times for sort of switching off at key moments that led to some goals against us. But he kind of ironed that out of his game.
You'll fit with Arsenal then.
Yeah, fit right in with Granit Xhaka and but honestly, he's a quality footballer. He probably could do with having a bit more pace, but It reminds me a little bit. One of my cousins who supports the other side of the city always told me about how good a footballer Emil Heskey was. I still stand by what I've always said. Emil Heskey needed whacking with sticks. Really get him angry before he goes out, because it's a bit like, to me, it's a bit like Emil Heskey. He's a big, strong guy, but he's a bit of a gentle giant. He doesn't really sort of impose himself. He's not really aggressive enough. So if he could match that with the technical capabilities he's got, he could be a really good footballer. But he's just not nasty enough, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think that's the problem with most of the Arsenal players at the moment. Really, they don't put themselves about enough. They're not nasty enough, like you say. But who else?
He's certainly not going to bring that to the team. I mean, Fleck's a great footballer. The little technician, as Graham Souness called him. I've got it sort of enshrined in my memory. Last season, Graham Souness said he wanted a season ticket at Bramall Lane and said we had some real technicians and we played some great stuff. And he's right. I mean, it was fantastic last season, and Fleck was at the heart of that. He's a really good first touch, really give and go, fast moving footballer in terms of moving the football, not moving himself. Again, he's not the quickest, but he can give it, receive it in tight spaces, technically good enough to kind of ping the ball around and keep it. But again, he had an injury this season, and he's fallen a bit beneath his standards. But I'd still say he's a really good footballer. And Chris Basham, who you mentioned, fantastic. He's probably been one of the few players that have performed this season at the same sorts of levels as he performed out last season. Unfortunately, he's another one who's on our injury list, and he won't be facing Arsenal tomorrow. But yeah, quality footballer. He's a centre back, and he really bought into our concept of overlapping centre backs. Very comfortable on the ball going forward. David McGoldrick, kind of striker, sometimes plays in that sort of number 10 position in the hole. Really gifted footballer. Great first touch, very skillful. But for a striker, he doesn't score nearly enough goals. If he could score on top of everything else that he does with consistency, he'd be worth a lot of money. But that's why he's playing. That's why he's playing for us. And the other big miss this season has been Jack O'Connell. Big, strong centre back, left-sided, and that's why if you look at our play this season, most of the plays come down the right side. We've never adequately sort of covered for Jack O'Connell, and once he was out the equation, that ability to attack down the left side with the overlapping centre backs just disappeared. We've not adequately replaced him, and certainly those fans who, I think they're in the minority, who've kind of to some degree turned against Chris Wilder, would point to the fact that he's stuck with the kind of back three, and tried to play this sort of overlapping centre backs when we've not necessarily had the personnel available to do it. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's something in that we needed to be a bit more flexible. But they're the key players, and that's the big thing I probably should have said at the outset as well. Why injuries have been so significant for us. We're in the ownership of a pauper prince from Saudi Arabia, probably the poorest prince out there. I'm not too impressed with the way he handled the kind of sacking, sort of mutual sort of walk away of Chris Wilder. I certainly didn't enjoy the interview that he gave after Wilder had left, because Wilder's clearly under some non-disclosure agreement, so can't give his side of the story. But we just don't have the strength in depth. We just don't. So when you lose the likes of Sanderberg, the likes of Jack O'Connell, the likes of John Egan, it's not like Arsenal where you've got plenty of strength in depth and people who can come in and give a like for like sort of performance. It's not. You're going down. You're going down several notches when these players are out. And we were very fortunate in that first season that we barely had any injuries. But this season we've seemed to have been blighted with them, particularly through the spine of the team.
Yeah. No, just before we move on, guys, if you're new to the channel, if you've got any for Mark about Sheffield United, you just touched on it a bit earlier there. I was going to bring this up as well, is the sacking of Chris Wilder. I mean, I know Sheffield United haven't got a lot of points this season, but for me personally, I felt that, one, it was harsh, even though that you are bottom, because I think he's done a really, really good job. And secondly, I didn't see what it achieved by sacking him, in terms of you weren't going to get out of there. Usually people change a manager in a relegation zone, hoping that they'll get that new manager bounce for 3, 4, 5 games, and they'll somehow just get out of there. But
it doesn't make the timing of it doesn't make any sense to.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you ask me, and something's gone on that we're not privy to really, but the Prince himself said, I think it was around Christmas time, that Chris Wilder was the person that would get us back up. If Chris Wilder wasn't in his employ, he'd go out and recruit him to get us back up. And that's fully what I expected to happen. So you see, in the same way that Norwich stuck with their manager and they look like they're going to bounce back at the first attempt, I honestly thought we'd go down, we'd regroup under Wilder's leadership, and if we didn't get back up straight away, we wouldn't be a million miles away. Now I honestly fear that there's strong echoes now of when we got relegated last time from the Premier League. There was a blade in charge, Neil Warnock. He got sacked.
Yeah.
And from that point onwards, we just went into sort of a long-term decline. And then, like you say, Wilder picked us up in League One. Horrible league, horrible football. Hard to get out of when you're in it. And not only did he get us out of that league, he then got us out of the Championship, and then he got us to our highest finish in the Premier League. And what happens? I don't know, honestly, Ross. Yeah. I was in mourning. There's no other. Honestly, I was. The sense of loss was such that I recognised after a few days I was genuinely in mourning. This is a guy I saw play when I was a boy.
Yeah.
He's a blade through and through. He loves the club. And yeah, maybe we've not done good recruitment. Maybe we've not played as well as we could. But I honestly believe he was the right man to get us back up. And it's a worry now, because Higginbottom he's a good guy. He's a solid guy. He's done some good things with the under-23s, as I understand it. Apparently, we've got a few decent players in there. I'm not particularly close to it and who they are, but I don't see him as being the kind of manager going forward. So who we get in and whether they'll be any better than Wilder in terms of understanding the club and what it means to the fans, I just can't see it. I really can't. So it's a bit of a sore point, really.
Yeah, you think that really well, mate.
I'm still struggling with it, as you can see. I really am. I loved Wilder. I really did.
Yeah, like I said earlier, really, it made no sense to me. I know they're bottom of the league. It's kind of too late, but he'd done such a great job. And to change a manager when it was already done, it's a matter of time before they're relegated. It made no sense. But
look, if you were going to do something meaningful to stay up, you would have done something in the transfer window in January. We did nothing.
Yeah,
we did nothing. So that said to me, we've already accepted our lot. We're going down, and we're going to do what we need to do at the end of the year in terms of who will we keep, who will we let go, and who are we going to recruit to try and bring us back up. But now I don't know. The one thing I'm fairly sure of is Sander Berg will leave for definite.
Do you think he could fit for Arsenal? They've had a lot of media links to him.
Honestly, I don't think he. to take this the wrong way, I don't think he's any worse than anything that you've currently got in the in midfield. I know Partey's come in and has injected some energy and can look a great player on his day.
Yeah.
But outside of him, I don't know. I think he's definitely a bit of an upgrade on everything else that's there outside of perhaps Partey.
Yeah, I mean, even Partey, I've got to admit, I think he's struggled a few times this season. I've seen a few games he's played where he's not been great. I'll be honest, but
yeah. My son tells me, he would have that view. But then it's his first season in the Premier League, and it's a different league. And in fairness, as a team, you're a million miles away from where you want to be, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
At the moment,
I was going to ask you that in a second, in terms of, from an outside supporter looking at Arsenal, like, what do outside supporters make of Arsenal? Because for me, if you'd have said to me 10 years ago, asked this question, I would have said every supporter, whether you like Arsenal or hate Arsenal, you'd go top quality club. They're always in there for the run-in for the league, stuff like that. But these days, it's just turned into a bit of I think, a joke. Like, I've been actually really embarrassed sometimes to support Arsenal this last 10 years. But what do you make of it all? Like the owner who doesn't really seem to care. Games under Wenger where we just like played, and if we lost, we lost. It was just the way it was, and everything else that's going on.
It's difficult, right? The place I'll start is there's probably a reason my son's an Arsenal fan. Apart from the fact that we no longer live in the north, I've brought them up in St Albans, and I think your training pitch is in London, Colney somewhere, surrounded by Arsenal fans. There were two teams that I really enjoyed watching on TV back in the day. One was Barcelona with Xavi and Iniesta, which again, that's one of Ewan's team, my son, and the other one was Arsenal. I mean, under Wenger, let's be honest. In his heyday, in his pomp, you played some great football. I'm not just talking about the Invincibles. I think even the teams that kind of followed them, it sort of very shortly after that, you had some really good ball players. It was always a pleasure to watch them. Yeah. Do I understand why you let him go? Yes, he probably was beyond sort of sell by date, I guess. And you'd lost that really, really strong English spine of the team that brought some steel, and you got all those small technical players that on their own weren't enough, I think, to win things in that league. But the difficulty you've got is since you've gone away from Wenger, nothing's really worked out, has it? You've had Emery and recently Arteta. Was there anyone else? I'm just struggling.
No, there was Freddie Ljungberg, like, for a few games in between while they were recruiting Arteta, but no, that was it really.
Yeah, I think the frightening thing is, if you look man for man at the quality of the players that you've got today, and compare them to the players in the heyday of the Wenger era, there's no comparison, really, is there? There's not. I mean, one of my favourite players of all time in the Premier League is Bergkamp.
Yeah.
Everyone has their favourites. My favourite was Bergkamp. I thought he had a bit of everything in his game, and probably as good a number 10 as you're gonna see. But I look at it this season. Aubameyang is not really the player that he was last year. Lacazette can be very good on his day, but he doesn't always have enough good days in a season that you would look for. I think Tierney's a great player. I think he's going to be a good one for the future. I think I've said to you before when we've chatted, I like Emile Smith-Rowe. I think he's a good technical footballer. Saka clearly is a talent. I just think you've got to rely more on some of the younger players that you've got. I don't understand why Willian gets a shirt. Sheff United made him look very poor when Chelsea played against us before you guys signed him. I remember he was really culpable in a goal where we just did a couple of 1-2s around him. He didn't track back. He didn't show any desire.
See, Willian's a strange one for me because I actually thought he was a good player at Chelsea. Obviously, I didn't watch Chelsea week in, week out. But from what a lot of the Chelsea fans say is he has one good game, like every 5 or 6 games, which I didn't realise. I just saw him banging in free kicks and penalties and thought, he was a good player. But
I mean, if you look at him take a free kick or take a corner, his technique's good, isn't it? But
not for us, ain't.
But if he's not even doing that for you, all the other stuff in between, like hard work.
David Luiz. I can't remember David Luiz scoring a free kick either. It's fucking unbelievable.
Oh no. So Luiz again, he's a bit like that, and he can have a really good game. He can have good forward players. He can have them tucked up, really take care of them, and then another match, he's a bit of a clown. And liable to make mistakes, get himself sent off at crucial times. You never know what you're going to get with him, do you? I mean, tell me, you see them more than I do, but I think he's really inconsistent, unpredictable. When he's good, he's very, very good. When he's bad, he's horrid. So, if you compare that to, I don't know, what was it? The guy who whacked Nistelrooy on the head, Keown.
Keown
Adams, Nigel Winterbourne, your Lee Dixons. If you look at that back line and compare that to your back line today, I don't know. It doesn't bear comparison. And then, if I offered you Henry and Bergkamp over Aubameyang and Lacazette,
in a heartbeat.
Isn't it? So I don't know. I guess my question for you would be: my son is, for whatever reason, a big Arteta fan. Is he gonna do it? Are you gonna stay the course? Is it Arteta or is it Kroenke? Is it Kroenke?
Yeah,
the owner.
Yeah, Stan Kroenke. Yeah.
There seems to be real parallels between you guys and Man U, where Man U talk about, is it Ole or is it the Glazers? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ross?
My answer to that is a bit of both, really. You've got owners who don't give a damn. They don't care. As long as they keep the money turning in, they don't care whether they're successful or not. And that's a huge. That's massive for me. When you look at Abramovich now, you can say that, he sacks managers too quickly. He does. Like Lampard, I thought that was really harsh. That was his first bad run or whatever. Yeah. But look how successful they've been. The owner, the owner cares. You know what I mean? Like, and I know it's really harsh, but he does. Like, if you don't win, you're binned. It's as simple as that. Now we've got owners who are just like, just put anyone in there, just get them in Champions League football or whatever, and that. And if you don't, you get sacked. But there's no real, it comes from the top, doesn't it? Like any organisation. You then put in charge a manager, a rookie manager, who's got no experience of managing before. People have been sold this dream that he's the next Pep Guardiola. Now, I've said on the previous stream, there's nothing to suggest he's going to be that just because he's been his assistant. There isn't. He's never managed before. And people giving him more time. Well, how many seasons do you give him? That's my issue. I mean, if people are thinking he's going to sign Odegaard, Matt Ryan, the reserve goalkeeper, and Ceballos on loan, who, in my opinion, is rubbish, we've got those players anyway. The fact they're on loan or whether we buy them permanently, it's irrelevant. And that's my worry. If we give him another summer and he only signs those 3 players, well, we're writing off another season.
I don't think you're going to keep Ceballos, are you? He's not strong enough for that league physically, I don't think. Odegaard, I've not seen enough of, but I guess my question would be: I'm a fan of Emile Smith-Rowe, so are they fighting for the same?
Thing is, exactly that's the problem, right? I think it's great. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing more nice to see as a supporter, as a fan, to see players come through your youth system and make it. And when I mean make it, not just always a fringe player, like make it like Saka's making at Arsenal now, where we can't afford to leave him out, sort of thing. But a few good games doesn't make him, what we wanted Mesut Ozil to be, or the next Dennis Bergkamp, unfortunately. And I hope he does do great things, but is it going to be the levels of Bergkamp? I'm not going to hold my breath, unfortunately. As much as I would love to see that, especially for a youth system. I mean, people calling him the Croydon De Bruyne.
A lot to live up to, isn't it?
Yeah, needs to calm down a little bit, But no, to answer your question, mate, it is partly the owner. The manager is just not experienced enough for me, especially at a time where we needed, in my opinion, an experienced manager. I mean, you touched on it before as well, our defence. It's been shocking for so long. I mean, not just bad, but like an actual embarrassment. It needs sorting out. And putting 10 players behind the ball, like Arteta has done, to kill off all our attacking threat is not sorting out our defence. And, contrary to popular belief. And you even mentioned Steven Tierney there. Now, I agree. I think he's a fantastic player. But I will say he's always injured. And that's going to be a massive issue. I've shouted before, say, make him captain, because he's got that, like, he gets it, when we go away to Man United or something like that, he gets it. However, if he's out for 5 or 6 games every 10, it's no good to me. I need someone who's going to play 30 out of 38 games in the league, and be that good. So that's my answer to that, mate.
So what would you do? Would you keep Arteta and give him another transfer window and see where you go next year, or would you look to act before the season's out or at the end of the season and get somebody else in for next year? What do you reckon?
I would personally, contrary to popular belief or what other people think, I would bin him this summer. Now that might sound harsh, but the problem with Arsenal Football Club is we haven't been ruthless for a number of years. We've been too soft, and it needs to stop. You can't just give managers 4 seasons time. Nobody gets that. You win or you're replaced. It's as simple as that. That's the harsh reality of football, And I understand giving someone time, but you can't just write off transfer window after transfer window. And also, we're not getting any better. We're not. There's nothing our performances to suggest we're getting higher up the table, or we've been unlucky. We played well, been unlucky. We're not.
Did I see something? I can't recall, but I thought I saw something that said if you compared his first so many games to his last so many games, that his win rate was so much higher to begin with, and actually you've gone south, or maybe I dreamt that.
No, I've not seen that. I've seen Emery's first 50 games and Arteta's first 50 games. I've seen that, and Arteta's got worse than Emery. Right. So yeah, and then obviously Emery missed out on a Champions League place on the last day of the season thanks to Granit Xhaka, and got us to a Europa League final, again let down by the players.
Yeah. Isn't he lying in wait, by the way? Sorry to interrupt. Isn't he lying in wait in the Europa League this year? If you guys progress, Emery.
Yeah, we'll probably play them next if we beat Slavia Prague away.
That'll be an interesting one.
I know, Arteta v Emery, right?
Yeah. Assuming they get through, of course, which isn't a foregone conclusion.
Well, they haven't lost at home, I don't think, all season in any competition, Slavia Prague.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. Like in any competition. And it would have been more interesting if we'd have, got to the final and then played Emery's Villarreal. That would have been even more interesting. But
so I guess logical next question for you would be, your Arteta out clearly. I understand the reasons. I don't know. I'd probably give him one more window and see how it goes, because chopping and changing managers doesn't necessarily. I know it seems to work for Chelsea somehow, but I think they're a bit of a exception that proves the rule.
Yeah, but
who would you bring in? Because that's the question. It's the same with like the Prince Abdullah. Wilder's gone, great, but now what? So Arteta's gone. Who's your man?
I take your point on that one. You know, it's no good getting rid of someone just to bring nobody in. However, the point I want to make out on what you just said there is, you're saying you'd give him another window, right? Now, if you give him another window, you're now saying, like most supporters will say, there's no one available in January. It doesn't work that way. No one's available, apparently. So if you're giving him another window, you're now giving him another 2 windows, and you're now giving him another season. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. I mean, January's gone, right? So I'm talking.
I mean, January next season. If you give him a summer window this year, then you can say in January next year.
All right. So you're saying you can't bring anybody in if you've replaced him.
I'm saying you can, but a lot of supporters out there will say, "Oh, there's no one available in January." They'll make them sort of excuses. No one good available mid-season. That's what they will say. It's like, well,
commit you to another full season, perhaps.
Exactly, and that's my point. And I don't want to. I mean, when I see Arsenal play, they're dreadful. They're still crap in defence. There's so many players. I think we need to get rid of at least 13 players from that club. Yeah, at least.
That's a big problem, though, right, Ross? You don't get rid of 13 players in one transfer window. You don't get rid of them in 2. You're probably talking 3 or 4 transfer windows to move out the dead wood that you see, and to replace them with something. So whoever, by your logic, whoever you bring in isn't going to deliver success in one season. And I guess Arteta does have in the bank, whether it was lucky, not lucky, whatever. He's got an FA Cup in the bank, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He delivered a trophy.
This is the thing, isn't it? You know, he's got the FA Cup last season. He got the Charity Shields or Community Shield.
Which I know Mourinho counted the Charity Shield when he was 3 trophies. No one else does, right? So let's give him the FA Cup.
And to be fair, he did win that, and credit to him for him. I'll give him credit where it's due, and that did buy him time. But it's not buying you another 3 seasons, mate. It's not. It's.
But my point is, you've got to get it right, haven't you?
Exactly.
You've got to get your next recruit bang right, because if you're talking about moving out a full team's worth of players, 11 plus players, and bringing in replacements, that's going to be a good 2-3 year journey.
Yeah.
You can't afford to bring somebody else in and then 12-18 months down the line say, no, it's not them. So it really does throw into sharp relief. Who do you want? Who would you say that Arsenal need to be?
I did a stream a couple of months back, I think about Christmas time, on different managers, and I can't remember even all the ones I had up there now. But one point I want to make is Arsenal is a huge football club. Although we've been a bit of a laughing stock this last 10 years, they will attract good managers, and players because of who they are. You've got Benitez, who I think, has he just resigned from the club in China? I can't remember. You've got him.
I don't know, but he's been out in China, hasn't he?
You've got the is it Nagelsmann doing good things with Leipzig? You've got the Italian guy Allegri, who's still out of work. I know. Pochettino was on the list now. He's PSG manager. There's somebody else who's taken a job somewhere else. But there's people around. But again, just getting back on that Arteta point, it's not just a fact of how badly we're doing it. In my opinion, it's the manner in which we're doing it. I mean, I watch Arsenal, and it's pathetic, some of the football we're playing and the performances the players are putting in. I mean, and just things for me is like Arteta's made some really, really weird decisions since we manager. And when you make weird decisions and it doesn't come off, it looks really bad. I mean, I remember Wenger making really strange decisions in his first few years, and he'd win, and everyone would think the guy's a genius. But with Arteta, it's not like that. He's put Saliba out on loan. I don't get that at all. We had 9 centre backs, people like Mustafi playing, but he wouldn't play Saliba. I mean, I don't get that for a start off. He continues to play Bellerin and Xhaka, who are useless, while sending out Guendouzi and Torreira on loan. I mean, you can't make it up, can you? You've got Nketiah, who can't score for Arsenal to save his life, but he's got Balogun in the youth system, who's been banging in goals all over the place.
We were linked with Balogun.
I know.
start of the season. I wish we'd taken him over Brewster.
Yeah, he looks good. But then you've got things that he doesn't look to change. For example, Pepe on the right wing, it doesn't work. He's left-footed, playing on the left. You put him on.
I gotta be honest though. Like, I'd like to see him on the left, because I say to my son, he looks like a £70 million one-trick pony.
Yeah.
We'll do a step over on the right wing. I'm going to cut in,
yeah, curl it in.
I'm going to bend it into the fore corner, and when it comes off, it looks beautiful. It looks great, but it seems to be the only thing that he's got in his kit bag.
But that's the thing, though, mate.
Still look £70 million signing, mate. Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, right? That's what I've said. I don't think he is a one-trick pony. But if you put a left-footed player on the right wing, it down turns him into a one-trick pony. And the thing is, as well,
I'll be honest. I'm completely left-footed. So is my son.
Yeah.
I played on the left side, played on the right. Sometimes never enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Always wanted to be playing on the left side as a left-footed player. And you may be right. He may be a totally different entity if you play him in that position. Maybe he'll get on the outside and whip some crosses in, and Lacazette and Aubameyang might come to life for you.
Yeah, I mean, he put Pepe on the left wing eventually. The last sort of last 10 games or so, and like against the goal he got against Wolves, different player, because he's much more confident because he's on his left foot, and it proves that playing on the right doesn't work. But he continues to do that, and then you've got Aubameyang, who's a goal scorer, who doesn't do anything else apart from score goals because that's all he does, playing on the left wing. Now that turns Aubameyang into a one-trick pony, cut in and try to curl it in. And the other team...
I'm starting to see what you're saying now about strange decisions. I mean, you've got to play players in their positions. There's no point, like you say, putting Yang out wide. You want him. You want him in the 6 and 18-yard box, where he's going to do what you need him to do, which is score goals.
Exactly. I mean, you've got another one where he sold our best goalkeeper, Martinez, who won us the FA Cup.
Didn't he?
Leno.
Didn't he sell your best? This is something I've said to my son. I do not understand that decision. He went to Villa, right? Go to Villa.
Yeah.
Much better goalkeeper in my view.
Yeah.
But both in terms of shot stopping, but also I thought he was much better with his feet, which for the way that you want to play, I think is important. But
no, and you're right, and this is what I'm saying. Like, half the problems Arteta has created for himself, selling our best goalkeeper. We've got 4 right backs and plays the only one in Bellerin who can't defend at right back. He could play Chambers, Maitland-Niles, or Cedric Suarez there. He doesn't. He put Saliba out on loan, who'd be a good.
Niles still there? I thought he'd gone.
No, he has now. Yeah, he's gone on loan now. He could have done. He could have kept him. He could have put Saliba centre back with Gabriel. Would have been a good centre back partnership. He's sent out Torreira Guendouzi on loan to play Granit Xhaka. He plays Pepe on the right when he should play him on the left. He plays Aubameyang on the left where he should be playing up front. These are all decisions that he has made. You know, he never plays Martinelli. Never gives him a chance.
I've got to be honest. Two things. One, Martinelli, Smith Rowe. What's he called? The young guy, the really talented young guy.
Martinelli.
No. So Smith Rowe, Martinelli.
Saka.
Sorry.
Saka.
Saka. Yeah, Saka, Jakabaka. Yeah, Saka. Those 3 guys are the folks that I think all of them need to be involved in the team. Honestly, I think you've got to look to the future, and they need to be involved. Jack has had enough chances. He can play really well. He can take a good free kick, but he's always liable for one, isn't he?
Mistakes. Yeah. I mean, you make a good point there, right, about Granit Xhaka, right? So Granit Xhaka's had enough chances, like you just said there. Guendouzi had 1 chance against Brighton, and you loaned him out. How does that work?
How's he done on loan? I don't know.
He's done all right from what I've seen, but I don't really know. But He had one chance against Brighton. Arteta says, "Oh, your attitude stinks. We're going to send you out on loan. We'll try and sell you." Xhaka's had chance after chance after chance, and he's still at the football club playing every week. I don't get it. Yeah. But guys, get your questions in for Mark. If you've got any questions for Sheffield United or anything you want to know about them, he's the Sheffield United guru. Read some of his comments out. Hi, Daniel. Good, big up yourself, mate. Hope you're enjoying the show. Arteta was out of his depth. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I completely agree. What do you think about Arteta? You've said you would give him another season, would you? Or would you now?
I don't know. now I've listened to you. I'm probably more in the camp of the things you pointed out about Aubameyang not playing through the middle, playing out wide. Still sticking with Xhaka. But listen, I don't have a hard and fast view on it. You're closer to it than I am. I guess I've probably got some sort of sentimental view that giving young managers a chance, and particularly when they're, I don't know whether you call him a club legend, but he clearly feels a lot for Arsenal. He cares about the club. One assumes he learned something by working with the best, with Pep, but maybe not based on what you've said. And I think the key thing I've taken away from this, Ross, to be honest, is your view that you need to recycle about a dozen players, and the fact that translates into 3-4 windows minimum, probably more. If he's not the man, then you need to get the right person next, because otherwise, you're looking at a period of sort of mediocrity that's not really consistent with your club. I mean, my club's not a club for the wildly ambitious. We are what we are. Yeah. But Arsenal expect to win things. You expect to be Champions League minimum, right?
Yeah.
And that's no longer a guarantee, is it? I mean, you're ways off that.
I don't even think Europa's a guarantee anymore, mate. I'll be honest with you.
You've got to win that, haven't you? If you win that, do you get Champions League? Is that a given?
So yeah, I believe so. That's a route through. Yeah, so I don't think you defend the Europa League unless you drop out the group stage again. But I think you go straight in the Champions League. Yeah. But,
I'd be closer to some of this, but it's not really in the universe we inhabit. So.
Vital match for Arsenal. Your 6-1. Would you start Alba Ross? No, mate, I wouldn't. I think, being on the wing, and like I've touched on, hasn't really helped. Personally, myself, I'd like to see Martinelli get a chance up front. The guy's had 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 20 minutes, I think, of the last game. And he's also been pushed out wide. I'd like to see him get a chance up front because, like Mark said, Lacazette doesn't score enough goals for me. Doesn't. I mean, looking back now, we thought we'd get an upgrade by getting rid of Giroud and get Lacazette in. I would take Giroud back over Lacazette any day. He was much better for us. So I'd like to see Martinelli play. What's your thoughts on that, Mark? Who do you think you should start from?
I'd give Martinelli a go. I mean, again, it's consistent with my view that you need to be looking to the future and playing the younger players. Funnily enough, however, I clearly agreed with your comment about Giroud. I think Giroud is a quality footballer, to be honest. He may not be the fastest in the world, but in terms of linking play, back to goal, getting on the end of crosses, he's very good. Funnily enough, I would have loved to have seen him come and play for Sheff United, but we just can't afford that type of players' wages. But certainly, I think Martinelli's a guy you've got to give a run to. I guess my question would be: is he another one of those that falls in the category of always injured? Has that been his problem? Because he's not a player when
I think he's been all right, Giroud, from what I can remember. I mean, the thing about Giroud is he's been successful. People mug him off like he's not a great footballer. I think he even got booed by the French supporters of the national team at one point. But you look back at his career, he won the league with Montpellier. I believe that was the only time they've won the French Premier League. He was top goal scorer that season, and then Arsenal bought him. He scored over 100 goals for Arsenal, and obviously won those FA Cups for us. He then went to Chelsea and won the Europa League, scoring against us, and he's won the World Cup for France. Now, people say he didn't score a goal, but he's a great team player. He was winning the ball and holding it up for players like Mbappe and Griezmann to then go on and score goals. I mean, you look at it, he's been successful everywhere he's been. So,
yes. No, I think I would have held on to him if I'd been Arsenal. But Martinelli, does he not sort of get injuries quite frequently? Is that what sort of slowed his development and sort of regular place in the team?
Yeah, he was injured. I think he was injured. He did his knee at the end of, was it last season, and was out for quite a while. But from my perspective, it's like people get injured at Arsenal, and then they take forever to get back and get fit again. And it's like it's either one or two things. Going back years ago, you didn't need 4 or 5 warm-up games or substitute appearances. You literally had like one. You got back in the team. Now, if you're someone who's forever getting injured, you need to get sold. You need to be sold because being injured, I don't care how talented you are, you're no use to anyone. I'm sorry, but it's time Arsenal got a bit ruthless on some of these people. I
tell you what, we'll do you a swap. You can have Brewster and McBurney, and we'll have Aubameyang and Lacazette. How's that?
No, you're right, mate. You're right, mate. But I think Martinelli, I don't think he has been injured because he's been on the bench. So he can't be that injured from what I can work out.
Fit enough to be on the bench, you're fit enough to play. I mean, that's why you're there. Clearly, if needed, you can come on and play. So, I like I say, I'd have Martinelli, I'd have Smith Rowe, and I'd have Saka as the players you build the team around.
Maybe promote Balogun as well. Hopefully, sign a new contract soon. But we'll see. Omar. Big up, Ross. Been a while, bro. Hope you're well. Yeah, I'm good, mate. Hope you are too. Yeah, sorry, mate. I've been away for about a month or so. Just been busy with some other stuff and taking a bit of a break, but I'm back now. Let's go. Gunnar Gale. Hey, Ross. Hey, Gunnar Gale. How are you? Big up yourself. Hope you're well. Who else we got? I see some comments coming in. Bear with me. Wow, quite a few comments in. Hi, Luca. How are you? Hope you're well, mate. Kangaroo. Hope you're well, Ross. Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. Mike, hi guys. The one thing we really need to address is a transfer window is left back to back up for Tierney. That's what we've seen in recent games. Yeah, you make a good point there, Mike. We don't have another left back, and again, this is something that another potential Arteta strange decision. We had Ainsley Maitland-Niles, who isn't a left back, but he was a very versatile player and had played at left back before. He sends him out on loan. Sends Kolasinac out alone, who I'm not gonna say anything about because Kolasinac can't defend to save his life, but ultimately leaves you out without a cover left back. I know we've been linked with, is it Josh Duig of Hibernian, who's I think Chelsea are looking at as well. I don't know a lot about him. If any of you guys watching have seen him, leave it in the comments if you've seen him play. One guy I do not want is that ex-Chelsean who's playing for Southampton left back. Ryan Bertrand, too old, not good enough, and I don't want another Chelsea has been in the team. What about you, Mark? You got any left backs? That United are any good?
Ender Stevens last season was very good. I mean that's been the other thing. Both him and Baldock, two wing backs. They were excellent last season. This season they've struggled along with the other players. But look. I mean, if you're looking for backup for Tierney, Ender Stevens not a bad backup, to be fair. You don't want somebody who's going to be disgruntled that they're not playing every week. If it's backup you're looking for, then he's certainly someone who could come in and do a job. He can defend reasonably well. He can go forward pretty good. Can deliver a decent enough cross. He's not bad. Certainly as a backup, he's not Tierney's quality, but if you just want somebody in reserve who can step in and do a job for you when required, then he's all right.
Yeah, cool. Well, it sounds better than what we've got anyway. I definitely don't want Kolasinac back next season, that's for sure. Mike says we need someone with experience in management and experience of management within the Premier League. I totally agree, mate. And he goes on to say Benitez fits that perfectly. I would take Benitez. I think he was decent at Liverpool. I think he got a hard time. I can't remember the reason why at Chelsea they didn't like him, but I believe he won the Europa League, did he not? I might be wrong on that one, but I would take him because he's got experience of managing top clubs, Liverpool, Chelsea. He managed Newcastle for a bit. He managed Napoli. He's managed Valencia back in the day before he came to the Premier League. I'm sure even other teams as well. I think he actually had a spell at Real Madrid as well, didn't he? I don't think he did very well actually, but
it's a good call though. I think Ross, in terms of tactical now, been there, done it, got the t-shirt. You're getting a proven manager, aren't you? Somebody who knows the league.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And one other thing about Arteta as well is I don't like his style of play. I think his style of play is way too slow. By the time we've got to the opposition's last third, they've got the whole team behind it. The build-up play is so slow, and you know, they know what we're going to do. And then you've got players like Pepe and Aubameyang who don't fit into that kind of style of play. They fit into a more fluid style of play, like a Wenger or Klopp, you know, type of team. So another reason why them two are probably struggling, to be honest with you. But yeah, I would take Benitez in a heartbeat. Mike, I'm a Gooner, Mark, but from Stevenage, this could have been us if things were a bit different in the League One playoffs in 2012. Yeah, that's a good point because Stevenage, Stevenage and Sheff Utd, was it the final they played off in?
Honestly, I can't recall, but I know that there was a period back in our time in League One when Stevenage were up there and thereabouts. And look, it's the toughest league to get out of. It really is such a tough league to get out of. Harder, I think, to get out of than the Championship. And there's some decent sides like down there, but you've got to scrap to get out of that league. Really scrap. And I'm sure that's probably right. I mean, we had some chances ourselves to get promoted out of the Championship before we went down to League One. I think we missed out in at least one playoff, if not a couple. And yeah, that's the beauty of the playoffs, isn't it? They're really exciting and they're great if you go up through them, but if you miss out on them, it's a bit of pill to swallow, particularly if you've been in that old third position where, you know, in the old days, 1, 2, 3 got promoted and that was it. There wasn't the money spinning playoffs that you have today.
Yeah, definitely. I do remember that playoff because, funny enough, I lived in Stevenage for a few years when that was happening. So I remember that, and Stevenage cocked it up from what I can work out. But Martinez waits for 10 seasons, gets an opportunity at the end of last season, then gets let go and moves to Villa. It's a very weird one when he's been at the club for so long, waiting for an opportunity. I mean, he sold our best goalkeeper. I don't understand it. I don't understand why he didn't say, well, you're on our clear number one now. I think a lot of people, I mean, we sold him for what, £17 million? And bearing in mind, we bought Runarsson for 1.5. So we basically sold our best goalkeeper for 15.5 million. I can't imagine why Arsenal would need 15.5 million. I mean, that buys you nobody these days. So it's a really strange one for me. I don't get it. Saka, yeah, great player. I think we just touched on what we were saying earlier. Xhaka's mistakes and temper let him down time and time again. Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. DVS Daldino, hope you're well, mate. Big up Gooners. Hope you're well. Arteta wasn't even a legend at Everton. I think you're right, though. I don't think he was. He was. I think he was more thought of at Everton, but I don't think he was a legend by any stretch of imagination. And why doesn't he start Pepe? It's just madness. I'll be honest with you, mate. I don't think Pepe's good enough. I don't. He may have been good in the French league. I personally think Xhaka might be okay in the German league or Serie A, where he's got a lot more time on the ball. But I just don't. I don't rate Pepe. I don't think he's. I'll give him his due in terms of I don't think he fits into Arteta's style of play. But I just don't think he's good enough. I really don't. You know, and people say he's got 16 goals and 10 assists, whatever he's got in 2 seasons. But I still don't rate him. You know, I don't care. I don't care so much about stats. It doesn't mean everything. Miami Guna, PC, hope you're well, mate. Excellent point, Mark. Giving transfer windows to a mediocre manager is counterproductive and makes zero sense. Exactly. If you give him another transfer window, you write off another season, which he's going to get, unfortunately. And like I said, bringing in Odegaard, well, we've got him at the moment, so we're going to need another 4 or 5 players to go with him if that's the case. Big up Omar. Giroud is levels above both our strikers. Honestly, I thought Giroud was all right. He's not going to get you 30 goals a season, but he brings a lot more to the team than our current strikers. I know that much. We should have gone back in for Giroud, not waste man Willian. I'm not sure. On the flip side, I'm not sure I would have gone back in for him. I think it's time to move on to younger players, about the sort of 24-year-old sort of category. No one too young that we have to wait years to get good. At the same time, not someone who's over the hill. Another screw up. Biggest injury for Marte is the fact that Arteta does not rate him. It's a great point. Yeah, I don't understand why he doesn't get game time. The kid's got all the talent in the world. Bertrand is pony. Yeah, totally agreed. My backup for Kieran Tierney is the Leicester City guy, Justin. I've heard good things about him. I don't know if he'd be available or what the price would be. Have you seen that James Justin play for Leicester, Mark? I've heard good things.
No,
I've heard good things about him.
I can't say I know him. I've watched Leicester play, but I can't say I know him.
Yeah, I think he was going to get a call up to the England squad, wasn't he? Before he I think he's done his cruciate ligament, so I think unfortunately he's going to be playing for a while. Rafa in now, good point. Did Di Matteo took them to Champions League glory? Yeah, I think I was talking about Benitez took them to Europa League glory, not Champions League. I think, unless I'm wrong on that one. Big up DBS. We had a few more of his comments out. Anyone looking good at Unis? Semi-finals. El Clasico's back. Do you know what, right? El Clasico is like my nemesis fucking game. Every year I try and watch it and something happens. I think it's on some Mickey Mouse bloody Sky Sports channel, which I haven't got. I've got all the BT and all the Sky Sports one, but not that one. It's annoying. Justin was good at Luton even before we moved to Leicester. He came from Luton. Wow. Big question. If we go out Thursday, do we sack Arteta on the spot? Well, that's a good question, actually. Thanks for that, Antonio. Mark, what do you say? I know obviously you're more of a Sheffield United fan, but what would you think? I mean, bearing in mind they're saying that our whole season now.
Which match is he referring to, against us or the Europa League?
No, the Europa League, Slavia Prague.
Yeah. So, listen, the Europa League is your last chance of Champions League football, isn't it? I don't understand why the FA Cup was treated with a little bit of disdain in terms of the team that you put out. You're clearly not going to finish in the top 4, and that was clear for some time. Your season's over, isn't it? Once you're out of the Europa League. So whether you let Arteta go at the end of the season or whether you let him go after that match and start your search thereafter, it's kind of a moot point, isn't it? I guess you could argue you've got a bit more time to pick your man if you make the call sooner rather than later.
Well, I think that's what Antonio's asking. He's saying if we lose to Slavia Prague and we're out on Thursday, would you sack him there on the spot? Bearing in mind our whole season lies on that game.
My answer's the same. Your season's over, right? Yeah. If you're Arteta out, then you may as well press the button at that point. There's not mileage in waiting, is there? You can start your search there and then. It's a signal of intent to the players. They know that for the remainder of the season they're playing for their jersey. Just as soon as someone else comes in, they can come in with a clean broom. Your point is you want to get rid of a dozen anyway, so maybe it puts a fire under them. So I guess I'm being a bit non-committal because I'm still not 100% convinced I'd let him go. But if you were going to let him go, then I would argue that your season's over, so you're no harm doing it sooner rather than later.
Interesting, because you said you give him all the way to the summer, and now you've been on here for an hour with me. You're like, yeah. If we go out Thursday, we're going to win the bullet.
I keep an open mind on all things. The one thing I'm sure you can convince me of is that sacking Wilder was a good thing. That I'm fairly sure of. My mind's not too open on. But on this one, some of the points you made about playing players out of position, some of the odd decisions that he's made, you're closer to your club than I am. So, and it seems like from the sentiment in terms of the comments that are coming across, people are in a similar space. And my argument is then based on logic. Your season's over if you're out of the Europa League. So why not press the button sooner rather than later and make public your desire to go and replace him?
Yeah. No, for me, even if he gets through, I just don't see him taking us forward. I really don't. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we win the Europa League, get into the Champions League, and we do really well and win it. We have this fantastic side. There's nothing more that I want to see happen than Arsenal be successful. But unfortunately, I can't see it. I really can't. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in. Thanks for all your messages. If you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I want to thank Mark for coming on. Mark isn't a YouTuber as such. He hasn't got like a Twitter handle or anything you can follow him on. But no doubt we get inundated with loads of requests for every time someone's club plays Sheffield United from here on in. But Mark, I want to say thanks a lot, mate. Appreciate you coming on the show.
A pleasure. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
No worries, man. Oh yeah, sorry, just to finish off with, what is your score prediction for tomorrow's game?
Oh God, no. Honestly, 3-1 Arsenal.
Nice. I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. I'm not sure we've got 3 players who can score for us.
I think the one thing you can be certain on is we never score more than 1. So that bit is fairly well taken care of. It's either 0 Sheffield United or 1 Sheffield United. We can't score more than 1. We create very few chances, and we've got no one who can convert them. So 2-1, 3-1. I think either one of us is going to be right.
Well, I hope you're right, mate. Because if you bang in 3 or 4 goals against us now, it's not going to look good on our defence, is it?
I'd be very happy if we do, but I find it highly unlikely, I have to say.
All right, mate. Thanks for coming on. Massive pleasure. And to you guys watching, I'm going to be back now doing some regular streams. So until the next time, guys, see you later and have a good one.